Hey, what is going on, crypto people? It is the Crypto Siege with another day in the life and the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Good morning. Happy Sunday to each and every one of you. This is something that is hugely important that I want to share with you guys. And it's important that we do our part in getting the message out and spreading the word about the Ethereum free pass, fair notice, and the fight ahead, put together by John Deaton and his team. John E. Deaton and his team. The website, I believe, is called Crypto Law _US, or Crypto Law -US, one or the other. But definitely check it out. Check out John E. Deaton on YouTube. Follow his channel. Follow his Twitter for sure. And shout out to all the people. John Deaton will acknowledge this as well. All the people in the community that continue to feed him information, not only for the motion to intervene, which now has over 20,000 people that have joined this particular lawsuit with or against the SEC, but the Army, again, providing all the information so that he can put together the things that he needs to in the lawsuit, but also in exposing what is going on here is hugely important. I'm going to spend the whole video today going over this because this is not about the developers at Ethereum. This is not about the people who hold Ethereum, people who believe in the project. It's not about that. This is about Joseph Lubin, William Hemon, Jay Clayton at the SEC, and what they did and how they schemed and connived their way into this. And I almost feel bad for Vitalik, the young kid who was obviously over his head, was in over his head in dealing with Lubin. And you get the likes of Novogratz, who wasn't really part of this, but you could tell that this young man was just really over his head. But Vitalik Buterin, you can, it's obvious. And Joseph came in here and was just willing to scheme over the guise of competition. Ultimately, was willing to instead of letting the market determine, he tried to give himself in what can be a consensus in Ethereum a leg up. It's sad. It's really sad, guys. And we have to expose it for what it is. We have to expose the dirty, nasty truth for what it is. And Clayton was involved in it. And it's going to get out. It's going to get exposed. So, guys, listen, this is your XRP Ripple daily news in around 0 to 10 minutes. The Ethereum free pass, fair notice, and the fight ahead by John E. Deaton, founder and host of Crypto Law. Actually, it's a YouTube channel as well called Crypto Law on YouTube. So I believe we have reached a turning point in the fight against the Securities and Exchange Commission's unfair and abusive treatment of XRP holders in its lawsuit against Ripple. So much evidence has come out in this case that exposes the outrageous actions of the SEC and the key figures behind the lawsuit, that I felt it was important to send you a complete summary of what has happened, why it's important, and what I and 20,000 XRP holders are doing in this fight. And it's important to acknowledge that collectively, the Army has done an amazing job. DAI led a lot of this charge, and then obviously tons of people, Leonidas, Crypto Eddie, Jeremy Hogan, Darren Moore, a lot of just the Army, right? You guys, we do our part by retweeting, commenting, right, sharing. All of these things help to promote and expose the nastiness. Again, each of us need all of us And all of us need each of us. Then it's not one person. It's not one person. It's together, collectively, that we make a difference, right? It's the power of you and the strength of us. That's how it works. It's never just one person, never. So much evidence has come out in this case that exposes the outrageous actions of the SEC and the key figures behind the lawsuit, that I felt it was important to send a complete summary of what has happened, why it's important, and what I and 20,000 XRP holders are doing in this fight. It's a story of an overreaching regulatory. It's a story of an overreaching regulator unfairly picking winners and losers in the blockchain business space, a web of insider connections and conflict of interest, and thousands of retail investors who were egregiously harmed by the federal agency that is supposed to be protecting them. It talks about the key player here. First, it's important to remind everyone of the key figures in this story. Jay Clayton, number one, was a longtime partner at the law firm of Sullivan and Cromwell, where he notably co-engineered the Alibaba IPO in 2014. Alibaba owns Alipay, the Chinese payment service that was designed to directly compete with Western fintech innovations using blockchain. Alipay has moved into cross-border remittances, which is Ripple's primary use case for XRP. Let me say that again. Alipay has moved into cross-border remittances, which is Ripple's primary use case for XRP. When he, Clayton, was nominated to be the SEC chairman in 2017, he was dubbed the most conflicted SEC chairman in history. In an article that ran down his baggage of potential conflicts in the job. At his nomination hearing, he was reminded and conceded that if any matter related to a client of his from Sullivan and Cromwell came before the SEC, he would be barred from voting on it. The most conflicted SEC chairman in history. William Hinman was a longtime partner at the firm of Simpson, Thacher, and Bartlett, and co-engineered the Alibaba IPO with Jay Clayton. Hinman retired from Simpson Thacher to join the SEC as Clayton's director of corporate finance. God help us if we find out that Hinman and Clayton were doing the bidding for people in China. God forbid we find that out. Ethereum was launched by the Ethereum Foundation in 2014 as an enterprise blockchain system, and its native currency Ether was issued in an ICO to anyone who wants to purchase. That's a quote unquote, because this is what was said by Vitalik Buterin. An early investor and co-founder was Joe Lubin. In parallel, Lubin founded Consensus, a for-profit consulting firm to promote and profit from building enterprise blockchain solutions exclusively on the Ethereum network. Lubin received 9.5% of Ether. For reference, a 10,000 investment in the Ether ICO and held to this day. So if you held it from 2014 till today, a $10,000 investment in the Ether ICO and held to this day is worth more than $120 million. We all know about Mike Novograd's college buds with Joseph Lubin, who made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions. For being part of that issuance of the Ether during the ICO. Now, some say that he got it a little bit afterwards, but in any case. Thus, you can imagine Lubin and anyone else's financial interest in Ether, 9.5%. What if you put more than 10 grand in? What if you put 20 grand in? Consensus is a client of Sullivan and Cromwell, which is very, very interesting, which Clayton has a history with. Consensus is a client of Sullivan and Cromwell. And Jay Clayton was a partner. Okay, he was a partner at Sullivan and Cromwell. Okay. The Ethereum Alliance, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, a coalition of companies built to market Ethereum as an enterprise solution, includes the law firm Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett, where Hinman worked. This is how Clayton, Hinman, and Lubin were connected as the story began. The free pass for Ethereum's cryptocurrency, Ether. Papers filed in, let me say this, by the way, as well. The links to the videos, the link to the articles are highlighted here. So they are linked. So you can click on them and get even more information. Papers filed in court and public statements on video from Lubin, Hinman, and others linked to Consensus reveal that multiple meetings between Consensus, Lubin's for-profit firm, and senior SEC officials were held in 2017 and 2018 to lobby the agency to give the Ether token a regulatory free pass. In Hinman's deposition taken in July by Ripple's legal team, it is clear that Hinman directed his staff to set up a meeting with Lubin and Consensus on December 13th of 2017. It should not be lost on you that the SEC was investigating and prosecuting dozens of ICOs that orchestrated crowd fundraising exactly the way that Lubin and Ethereum did, i.e., anyone could buy pre-mined Ether tokens and their funds were used to build the blockchain. In fact, many people refer to the period as the 2017 ICO craze. The SEC actually sued a company called Telegram and achieved a preliminary injunction that prevented the development of its blockchain for conducting an ICO substantially similar to Ether's. At the time of this December 13, 2017 meeting, Ripple was not under investigation and XRP had been publicly sold and traded for over 4 years. XRP was also battling Ether for the number 2 cryptocurrency by market cap behind Bitcoin. A key meeting was organized on March 28th of 2018 by Andreessen Horowitz, where Ethereum investors presented a proposal for a regulatory free pass for Ether. I have reviewed that safe harbor proposal thoroughly, and the only digital asset it even mentions is Ether. Furthermore, key elements of the document were incorporated directly into Hinman's speech, saying that Ether is no longer security. In essence, Hinman's speech was suggested by and partly written by some of Ethereum's top investors. Very, very, very important. In essence, Hinman's speech was suggested by and partly written by some of Ethereum's top investors. We know that Lubin and Consensus met with the SEC at least 3 more times before Hinman's June 14, 2018 speech. 3 additional times, where he declared that putting aside the fundraising conducted by Ethereum with this token, Ether is not a security and therefore not subject to SEC regulation. We'll put aside the fundraiser for Ethereum Foundation, but everybody else we're going to go after for the same fundraise. Do you see what's going on here? You see how dirty and nasty, underhanded it is? This is what happens. It's pretty nasty. It's pretty disgusting. And I hope that no one forgets this. And I hope that you continue to push, you can continue to expose and continue to shout from the rooftop what the SEC did here. Ether is not secure and therefore not subject to SEC regulation. Consensus has been battling to gain market share on the cross-border payments market for Ethereum, competing directly with Ripple's cross-border payment solution on the XRP ledger. After Hammond's speech, Lubin publicly predicted that Ethereum would be the only enterprise platform to get a free pass from the SEC, and that a reckoning is coming. These are quotes. The biggest challenge for Joseph Lubin, and I heard someone mention this before, is the ego is enormous. I'm surprised he makes it to events because the dude's head is just swole, right? Ethereum would be the only enterprise platform to get a free pass from the SEC, and that a reckoning is the other part that's interesting to me. He boldly states that a reckoning is coming for others, specifically Ripple. Mike Novogratz, Lubin's college roommate and a major investor in Ether, predicted just 9 days before that speech that he would bet dollars to donuts that the SEC would declare Ether to not be a security. I watched that video. Another thing that's on video. If you know Mike Novogratz, he cares deeply about his public perception and credibility and would not go out on a limb and guarantee what the SEC was going to say unless he was assured of it from someone with personal knowledge. And I know I'm reading a lot, but guys, this is hugely, hugely important. And we want the world to know. You ever notice how people from Ethereum are not saying anything about this? It's all over Twitter. Not a word, not a peep. You won't hear it on podcasts like Bankless, which is, they do a great job over there. It is definitely dedicated towards Ethereum and all things on Ethereum. Not a word, not a peep. And again, it's not the fault of the holders. It's not the fault of the people who love what the Ethereum project is looking to do. It's not the developers. It was Joseph Lubin and the SEC. And of course, they've got law firms involved in this underhanded, dirty misdealing. Right, so Novogratz, like Lubin, predicted that the SEC was going to select one token and its promoters. So important. Novogratz, like Lubin, predicted that the SEC was going to select one token and its promoters and go after them to shut down, as an example. Novogratz, like Lubin, predicted the SEC was going to select one token as promoters and go after them to shut them down, as an example. So they knew that they were going to be going after a particular crypto and try to shut them down. Shortly after Lubin and Novogratz's public predictions, we now know that Ripple was notified of an informal investigation. Again, Ripple, no ICO, no fundraise whatsoever. William Hinman boldly said, we're going to put aside Ethereum's fundraising efforts, and we're going to give them a pass in terms of security investigation at all. We're just going to do it because we can. Meanwhile, and not only did they do that, then they went after and intentionally went after the competition, which was Ripple. Intentional. Meanwhile, while Lubin and Consensus were holding meetings with the SEC, future SEC Chairman Gary Gensler told an MIT audience that he didn't see enough regulatory clarity in the market for digital asset and said even Ripple needed clarity. The Ripple lawsuit. The XRP cryptocurrency was never issued in the ICO. It operates on a fully decentralized ledger and has been used by project developers and consumers with no connection to Ripple for years. XRP fits the criteria of Hammond's 2018 speech better than Ether does. In fact, Ripple controls less than 4% of the validators on the XRP ledger. Ripple once objected, by the way, to a change on the ledger, but was overruled by the majority of validators. The point is that the XRP network is arguably more decentralized than the Ether network. I listened to a thing with Lubin and two other people on the podcast, and then Lubin and this guy were going back and forth, but this dude was adamant in saying that Ethereum was very highly centralized. And I think DAI actually showed that video. The Ripple lawsuit was filed on Clayton's last full day at the SEC in 2020. The timing was very curious. About 2 weeks before Clayton directed the suit be filed against Ripple, former SEC Commissioner Joseph Grundfest sent a letter to Clayton stating that he should not file the lawsuit as he was leaving the SEC. Grundfest argued that no exigency existed to file, considering that XRP had been traded for over 7 years. Grundfest informed Clayton that the SEC could not make any material distinction between XRP and Ether, and if he filed the case, it would call into question the SEC's exercise of discretion. He also warned Clayton that the mere filing of the lawsuit would cause unprecedented billions of losses to individual investors with no connection to Ripple. He warned Clayton of this. Who, the SEC, this dude was the chair of the SEC and walks around under the guise of investor protection, was warned what this would do, warned how it was completely without merit to file this lawsuit, and continue to do it anyway. That's dirty and it's nasty. When the suit was filed, XRP lost 15 billion in market cap. It should be noted that Grundfest was retained by Ripple. It doesn't change what he said being true. I didn't know that Joseph Grundfest, that's news to me, was retained by Ripple. So they got Grundfest and Mary Jo White. Interesting. It's also important to note that Clayton was the deciding vote to sue Ripple on the 5-member commission, the deciding vote. He chose to bring the most consequential enforcement action since the 1946 Supreme Court decision on Howey against Ripple, a direct competitor of his former law firm's client, which is Consensus. Do you see what's going on? When challenged in court by Ripple's legal team on the contradiction between Hammond's speech and the SEC's action, the SEC has attempted to disown Hammond's speech as market guidance or determination by the SEC, claiming it was just his personal opinion and irrelevant to the case. In fact, the SEC had Hammond sign an affidavit that his speech was only his personal opinion and not that of the SEC. I wouldn't be surprised if Ripple turns around and sues somehow the SEC or Clayton or Hammond. This flimsy argument is now being torn apart by Ripple's legal team, which has launched a fair notice and due process defense that could decide the case in summary judgment and possibly get a sweeping precedent that limits the SEC's power to regulate cryptocurrencies. All available evidence indicates that Hammond's speech was intended as market guidance by everyone at the SEC. It was believed to be market guidance by Lubin, the Ethereum Foundation, and Consensus, consensus and taken as market guidance by the media and investors. Most importantly, multiple documents issued by the SEC legal staff on other matters reference the Hinman speech as representing a recognition of Ethereum and Ether by the commission on video and documents available for everyone to see. The SEC has also admitted in court that no investigation was ever opened against Ether, ever. This means the agency never considered enforcement action against Ethereum, despite its 2014 ICO and the Ethereum Foundation's large-scale sales to speculators like Mike Novogratz. To date, Ether is still the only altcoin in the market, that the SEC has affirmatively anointed as a currency or commodity and not a security, even though it's now trying to pretend it never anointed it. And Chairman Gensler is trying to pretend he never said in 2018 that Ripple deserved regulatory clarity. The $64 trillion question is, why did Ethereum get a free pass and Ripple get sued? The fair notice defense in the Ripple case has led to this embarrassing question for the SEC. Why did Ethereum get a free pass and Ripple get sued? Clayton and right? And Lubin got in bed together to try to make Ethereum the end all be all and damn the rest of the projects. Everyone in the crypto space should be offended, insulted, angered by what happened here. Everyone in the crypto industry. Because it is in your face obvious. I'm talking everyone in the crypto space. Any exchange, any crypto project should be angered by what took place. Any project. The SEC has taken a well-deserved battering in court since it filed the Ripple lawsuit, and it raises another question. Why file a flawed case that could ultimately backfire so badly and set a sweeping precedent limiting the agency's power? Because Hinman and Lubin and Clayton didn't care. They were going to be gone. Hinman and Clayton were going to be gone. Coffers filled. Coffers filled already. Despite the SEC fighting tooth and nail to stop it, Ripple was granted the right to depose him, and now they are battling to get SEC documents showing who drafted, edited, and saw the Hinman speech in advance. Those discovery documents revealed the speech was attached to 63 emails in the drafting phase, but the SEC refuses to disclose who was on them. This is our SEC in the United States, whose mantra is protecting the investor, retail investor. Discovery has also revealed that Hinman only provided a draft to Clayton and no other commissioner. This means Commissioner Hester Peirce, aka Crypto Mom, was not allowed to give input. I didn't know that. The last official meeting between the SEC and Lubin and consensus before the speech was June 8th of 2018. And thanks to the investigative work of the XRP army on social media, I have obtained a copy of the March 2018 Andreessen Horowitz Investor Group memo to Hinman, advocating for a specific free pass for Ether. We have proof that Hinman used the investor's memo as the basis of his speech. The Ripple lawsuit filed on Clayton's last day has slowed Ripple's interbank payments business and given consensus an opening to try to pull ahead. 2 months before the Ripple lawsuit was filed, Clayton's firm of Sullivan & Cromwell assisted consensus to acquire the Quorum interbank payments platform, JP Morgan's deal, and has brought a lot of scrutiny to the web of personal financial interests tied up between Clayton, Hinman, Lubin, and the Hinman speech. Here's what we've documented. Almost immediately after leaving the SEC, Clayton was hired by One River Digital Management, a crypto hedge fund that quietly made a huge financial bet exclusively on Bitcoin and Ether, starting shortly before the Ripple lawsuit was filed. What a coincidence. Less than a month after filing the Ripple lawsuit, SEC Enforcement Director Mark Berger left the agency to join Simpson, Thacher, and Bartlett of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. What a coincidence. From 2017 to 2020, the same year she served at the SEC, Hinman received over $15 million in payments from Simpson, Thacher, and Bartlett. What a coincidence. Immediately after leaving the SEC, Hinman returned to Simpson, Thacher, and Bartlett. He also was named senior advisor to a new $2 billion crypto fund at Andreessen and Horowitz. What a coincidence. All right, guys, I'm going to end on here. And on that note there, it's the dirty, nasty misdealings that are taking place at the SEC between Clayton, Hinman, and Lubin of consensus. It is obviously way out there. And it looks like to me that Andreessen Horowitz and these other law firms took care of their boys for doing their dirty bidding, doing their dirty, nasty bidding. All right, guys, I'm going to end this video like I do all of my videos and remind you guys of this, that old money doesn't want you to win. Apparently, the SEC doesn't as well. But that's okay, though, because you and I are already winning. Have a great rest of the day, guys. I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.